Just oh, it's your this is your other. This is you. Okay. I would suggest to mirror displays, and then I can zoom in on this thing. Tiny mouse. Sorry. No, you can move it so that I can make it so. Is there a way for me to make this bigger? Put your projector over there. Okay. Just speak loud.
Okay. So I'm Brian Roanock. I'm one of the TAs, and I'm going to show you how to get a local install of the correct Python libraries to make it so that you can test your system locally. However, it's important to note that the correct way to test after you've done everything locally, however you set up your environment, is to make sure that you go have access to the Buffett servers and SSH in there and test your code on those servers. If it works on your computer and it doesn't work on Buffett, it doesn't work for us, and you're not going to get credit. So make sure that everything works on the Buffett servers, and make sure that you have access to them so that you can test. But since that's not convenient if you don't have internet access, I'm also going to show you how to set it up under Mac, which should be fairly straightforward. And then Nitin is going to come up here and show you how to set it up on Windows in two different ways. The way that we recommend is to create a virtual machine and then install Ubuntu on that. And then all of the instructions should work just as I'm doing them on Mac. And the other way is to install it natively on Windows if you don't want to set up a virtual machine. And that's in decreasing order of support. So Buffett servers, Linux and Mac, and then Windows. So caveat emptor. All right. So to start, there's a couple of tools that you're going to need. Mac thankfully ships with most of them. I think the one thing that it doesn't ship with is Git, unless you specifically install the Xcode tools, which I'm not going to show you how to do because I've already installed it, and every Mac that I've ever touched also has that installed, and there's no way to uninstall it and then show you what it looks like as you're installing it. But anyway, there's plenty of instructions for how to get that. The way you can test is...
Interject for a second. So you're demoing install on Mac OS?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
And then access to Buffett.
Okay, cool. All right. There will separately be Linux?
Yes.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So the first step, let's check to make sure that you have access to... Can anybody not see what's projected on that screen? All right, need to make it bigger. Yeah. It's like tiny. I'm not doing the plus.
You can just
thing.
make that window bigger. You can just make if you want.
All right. Because I'm going to have to jump between a couple of different windows. That's why. There we go. Yeah. All right. I will just make it bigger. That's still tiny.
Oh, no, there's
yeah, there is.
Click on view.
All right.
Bigger. There's bigger under view. There's bigger. There you go.
We good? Anybody else still having problems seeing this? Okay. All right, so first step, check to make sure that you have Git. That's easy to check here. Just git dash version. You'll notice that if you installed with Xcode, it'll have Apple Git next to the name. If you installed by downloading off the internet, it should still work. It'll just say something different there. The easiest way is probably just to use the provided Xcode installing setup. Now, after you have that, you have everything that you need in order to install all the rest of the stuff that you need. The first thing that you need is virtual env. I already have this, but this is how you want to start it. So pip install -- user virtual env. I already have it installed. If you don't, it'll do a big thing of stuff that I haven't downloaded yet and then install it. And then after you have that, you want to make a virtual environment specifically for this class. I'm going to put everything inside of a directory called ml4t, yeah, lowercase. So made a directory, changed into the directory. And this is the command to make a virtual environment. You just give it a name for the directory. It should put all of its libraries in. And you can see it's setting up a version of Python, it's installing pip and wheel and everything. And what this will do is it'll give you a directory which houses all of your libraries specifically for this class so that it doesn't mess up the rest of your environment. And this is the preferred way for you to install specific versions of libraries on all systems now, just from Python. Now that you've installed it, you have to activate it. So this is an important step. In order to do that on Mac, you type source, and then in the directory that you just created, so mine is ml4t-venv, there's another directory called bin, and inside there's a script called activate. And what this will do is it will change my command line, so you can see there on the left here, you've got a ml4t. That's just the name of the folder that you gave it, the name of the virtual environment. And this is how you know that you've set up your Python to be using the libraries that are installed locally here. So once you have that, now you can use pip as normal. Pip is also a Python package, so you can, instead of just doing pip on the command line, you can do this. I'm using a requirement argument because I'm going to give it a file with a list of all of the libraries that we use and their appropriate versions. And to do that, I need to make that file. So if you go here, oop, too big. If you go here, here's the list of the libraries and the versions as they appear on the Buffett machines. So this is the name of the library, equals equals and the version sign. You can just highlight this thing here and copy it into a text file. Any old text editor will do. Let's set up in Sublime Edit, make this visible here. So I just copied that list of files in there. I'm going to save it. Yeah, I'm not going to purchase here. All right. So I've saved it. I don't know. It popped up really briefly down here, but I'm basically saving it in, let's see. Here. So this is in ml4t. I've saved it as ml4tlibs.txt, I guess. So that's in the directory where I was.
So these are all the same version numbers that are on Buffett. So if you install these on your local machine, you'll be in sync with the Buffett machine, which we use for grading. If you have older or newer libraries, especially Pandas and NumPy, there can be different behaviors. So you definitely want to be sure you have exactly these libraries.
And it's also not a guarantee that you're going to get the exact same answers on your computer as you do on the Buffets. The only thing that we're guaranteeing is that if you run it on Buffett, you will get the same results as we do. So if you're ever in doubt, run it on Buffett. Anyway, so to continue, we have, we're installing now these files. And again, this syntax is no different than if I got rid of the Python-im in the front. It's just using Python. So if you don't have Python, the command line there. So this will install it. And I'm inside my directory. Again, this is already, since I've already had these installed, I have a lot of the things already pre-built. So it's saying using this cached version of it. If you don't have it pre-built for some other project or otherwise on your system, it will do a little download, and you can see where it is in the progress, and it'll build it after it's downloaded. And after it's finished, you'll see the important line here is successfully installed. And if you see anything that says failed, that probably means you're going to have to figure out what went wrong. Question? Sorry, where? So this line, this is the same thing as if I got rid of this here. So it doesn't have to be that long.
Repeat
The
question
file,
so
the
people
file. Sorry, the question was to go back over this script again, or this command that I'm running right here. This is also on the wiki, so if you're not keeping up with my breakneck speed, you can also just go. I'm just repeating what's on the wiki and showing you what it looks like on Mac. The file I saved, so I created a new text file in the directory that we had created, and I just copied these lines in it. And so the format is just the name of the library equals equals, and then the version. And so you can just copy this text block into a file here. This is just a text editor. You can use whatever text editor you want. Vim, doesn't matter. And I've just saved it in the same directory.
Word.
Oh yeah, you can't use Word. I don't consider Word to be a text editor. And if you do, you're going to be in for trouble. So, anyway, moving on. After we install this here, now we have everything officially installed and we can proceed. I'm just going to double check. So I'm going to run Python, and then I'm going to import NumPy. And I'm going to do print NumPy dot version, like so. So 1.13.1, and you can see that's exactly the same one for the ones in here. You can test this yourself if you want to with the big libraries that we mentioned, NumPy, SciPy, and Pandas, Matplotlib. But the real thing to do is to test it out using the grading scripts. In order to do that, we're still in the directory that we created earlier here. So I'm going to clone the repository. So the way that you clone a repository is like this. Again, this is all online. It's using the Git tool. This is the website for the repository on Georgia Tech's GitHub. So this is ml4t/ml4t_2017 fall. Links are all there. And you can copy that, click on this big green button, and then you can copy this string right here. That's the URL. So I'm copying this string. And now I do git clone, and I just put that string right in there.
You didn't say clone.
Oh, yeah. That's why that doesn't work. So it's git space clone space the URL. And now it's going to download all of the stuff into a directory here. If you look at that, now we have this ml4t_2017 fall. So I'm going to go into that directory. And now we have, this will get populated throughout the semester, but this is where all the assignments will be. The first assignment is assess portfolio. You look at analysis. This is the analysis, that thing. I'm just showing you what the file looks like. And now we can test our analysis code and test whether or not the grading scripts all work correctly by doing this. Python pass. So this string may look a little bit magic, but all it's doing is setting an environment variable called the Python path, which means look at the directory that I'm currently in, and also look at the directory above me, because that's where all the grading scripts are. This is also on the wiki, and that's why you do it. Python, and then gradeanalysis.py. And it'll look something like this. Everything failed, which is as expected because our analysis.py. But you see that what a failure because the code isn't doing the right thing versus a failure because you haven't installed anything correctly. So this is a problem because you can see here we have wrong values of the reasons why the thing failed. And it says here one or more stats were incorrect, and here we got the different values. These are just the hard-coded values provided by the template. And if you didn't save your terminal, you can still look at what the output is by looking at comments. And this just copies everything and tells you for all of the different tests. So you can go back in. And I'm just reading this using Vim. You can, again, open this in your favorite text editor. It's just a text file. I'm going to show you what it looks like if you forget to move into your directory. So I just type deactivate. That means we're no longer in the virtual environment. And if I try to do the same thing, hopefully it won't work. Yep. So I don't have PyTest because I didn't install PyTest globally. And you can see that this is the type of error that you can see if you don't have your library set up correctly. It'll look different from the types of errors you'll see or the things that say, warning, you failed the test cases. So you should be careful when you're installing things, pay attention to what exactly is going on. All right, final thing before I hand it over to Nitin. How much time do we have left? Half an hour, okay, good. I'm gonna show you how to test on Buffett because this is the thing that everyone should have access to. If you're on Windows or another system that doesn't have an SSH command line, Nitin will show you how to use SSH in his talk. But I'm going to show you how to do your testing on Buffett. So let's go here. SSH, my username, at .edu. So this first part, this is the command, SSH. Mac comes with it installed. You don't have to do anything to get it. This is my username. It's going to be different for everybody else. I'm using Buffett02 for demonstration purposes. You should choose the one based on your last name. And this is just a URL. So it's username at URL out to the end. And that's SSH. This is what it looks like when you log in. If you don't have access, you may get an error that says LDAP authorization failed. That means that you haven't been correctly added onto the access list. It doesn't mean you typed your password incorrectly. Yes?
On the wiki, there's like a -X in front of the ID. Is it?
Oh, that's for Xhost. That's if you want to use the X server and you want to be able to, say, display plots using matplotlib on your local machine, but running them on the remote server.
Okay.
So you don't need it if you don't want to do anything with displaying graphs or images or anything like that. And you have to have stuff set up in order for that to work under Mac. So Linux, it just works. Mac, you have to do some stuff. All right, anyway, so here's what your desktop will look like, or here's what your home directory will look like the first time you log in. There's pretty much nothing there. We can run our same code. Well, we can test Python. So we're using the same directory, the same libraries. That's going to be correct. You don't all have to test that, but just in order to make sure if you wanted to double check. So the first step, now we jump ahead in our list of things to do. We don't have to do the virtual environment. We don't have to install anything else. It's all been installed for you. So now we're skipping ahead to cloning the repository and using that. So this is going git clone. That's our URL. You can use SSH if you want to set up SSH keys, and if none of that makes any sense, don't worry about it. The problem is that when you're looking at your local machine and you're off campus, sometimes SSH is blocked. So you'd have to use the VPN. It doesn't matter. Using the HTTPS version always works. Do it in here. You have to give it our username. That's my username. I'm typing my password. No characters show up. Should be used to this. Now it's building the whole thing again. And again, we have our directory. Move into our directory. And then exactly the same command. There we go. There we go. And again, the same results. And this may be slower or faster than your local machine, depending on how beefy your local machine is and how many people are on the Buffett at the time. You can check to see how many people are online. Oh, wow, look at that. Whoo! A lot of people on Buffett 2 right now. Anyway, so that's how you do that. And you can edit your files on Buffett directly by using a command line terminal. So here it is. Our command line text editor. My particular favorite text editor is Vim, and if you use Emacs, you're wrong. But if you want to edit your programs, you can do that like so. So I just opened up the .py file in a text editor, and I'm not going to do a demo of how to use text editors under Unix, but they exist out on the internet. Google is your friend, and you can edit stuff in here, and I'll give you an example of something like that. So let's say here's our statistics. Let's make these bigger. So I'm just picking numbers out of the air, but I've created them, I've saved it, and then rerun this again. Oh, look, they're still wrong. So yeah, but they've now updated. You can see the wrong values in there, and that'll update as you work on your code. Do you have a question? No, it's a stretch. All right. Are there any questions? You first.
So the homework is coding and stuff. So I just want to ask about the process of like how to test it in the Buffett and submitting it. So do you want us to just go to Buffett straight and work on the code there and submit it, or like pull it to your local repository and work on it, submit, and then pull it to the Buffett and then work on there?
Okay, good question. So I'll repeat the question for people who are watching online. And by the way, this is all being videotaped, so we'll share the link with you, and you can just scrub through it to come to the points if you want to see them again. Anyways, in the end, what matters is your correct Python file is submitted to T-Square. You can use whatever methodology you want for getting it there. You can just think real hard and type it in once, or you can test it on your laptop and not test it on Buffett. I highly recommend against that. But as long as the code gets to T-Square, that's what we want. Now, we do not guarantee to help you. If your code doesn't run, and it's obviously something that you would have detected if you had tested it on Buffett, you're probably not going to get the credit back. So that's why Buffett is there, so that you can know for sure it really runs there. Now, a typical workflow that I recommend is develop the code on your local machine, however you like. Run this test harness to see how it works. That test harness actually doesn't run on Windows. However, if you look in the code, what is it, grade analysis?
Yeah.
Anyways, each project has a piece of code that tests your own code. You can look in there and see exactly what the factors are that your code is tested with, and see what the correct answer is. So this is what that example is there. So even if you're on Windows and run this this piece of code to test yours, you can still type in the queries to see what you get. So anyways, test it on your local environment until you're happy with it. Copy it over to Buffett. Recommended method for that is to use FTP, SFTP. We're going to skip going into detail about SFTP here. It's just something you got to know. Okay, so go Google SFTP and figure it out. But that's how you move files to Buffett. Then you SSH into Buffett, and you can run the test there. Remember though, so running it on, moving the file to Buffett is not submitting. That's just a test environment for you. Submitting means turning it into T-Square. Okay, any other questions?
There are a couple of questions. I still want to give Nitin time to give his talk. So we're going to be here for a little bit after the, sorry, I should, yes. We're going to be here for a little bit after the class is officially over. So if you have other specific questions about trying to do this where it failed, you can come up and talk to us then. And probably the first couple of office hours that are provided will be something similar.
And Reddit.
Yes.
But yeah, we do need to move to Mitten so he can cover Windows. I apologize actually that earlier I didn't realize the class ended at 2:45. So I'm sorry I was rude on Tuesday, people leaving because class was over. I thought it wasn't over till 3. So I retract my rudeness, I'm sorry. Anyways, we will try from now on end promptly at 2:45. Are you able to use? Okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Nitin. I'm one of the TAs for this course. So if you go to Reddit and if you check this post, you will find a PDF. If you click this link, you will find the PDF where I have written down all the instructions to set up everything for Windows. So there's 2 methods which can be done. One is I'll be installing Anaconda on Windows directly.
Guys, too loud!
So the first method will be installing Anaconda directly on Windows, and I'll be setting up the coding environment on that. But by this method, your grading scripts won't run. That is the grade analysis.py. But you can still work on your regular code. That is analysis.py. The second method would be installing VirtualBox on Windows and then loading it up with Ubuntu, and then that will run all of your scripts, including the grading stuff as well. So let me give you a short intro on Git. So you have to go to this link and you can download Git. So install that with the default options. Go to Git Bash on your search menu. Click on that. So here you will find a terminal, and you can go to, let's say, desktop. Just copy this command, which is to clone the Git repository. Let me type it out.
Can you make that window a little bit bigger?
Yes. So if you do git clone of that link, and you will get a repository in that folder. So let it finish. The next thing which I'm going to do is installing Anaconda. So you can just search for Anaconda Python on Google. And once you install that with all the options as mentioned here, you can look at this and you can install Anaconda. So once that's ready, you can go to Anaconda prompt, type for Anaconda prompt in the search menu. So this terminal will be running Anaconda. So you will find the options like Conda working inside this. So what you do is you go to the terminal, and here what I'll be doing is I'll be creating what is called a virtual environment. And this virtual environment will be called ML40, and it will be running Python version 2.7.12, which is the same as the one on Buffet. So you just copy this, go to the prompt. So this will create the virtual environment, and say yes here. Why? Okay, so now the environment is ready. So what you need to do is you need to install all these libraries. Sorry?
You zoom in.
Sure. Can you see? Okay. So you need to copy this command, and you need to just type it into that Anaconda environment. So let me all put it into one line. Seems there's like, okay,
Can you make that one a little bigger?
this one?
Yeah, the text. Yeah, there you go. So is that a bash shell?
No, this is more like command prompt.
Okay.
So just say yes here again, and it will start installing all the libraries according to the Buffet's library versions. So once you're done with that, so this will take a while. We have cloned the repository onto the machine, so you can go there, you can check it. So
That one's
the
hard to see.
repo is here.
You gotta make it bigger.
So you can see that the repository has been successfully cloned, and even the environment has been created successfully. So what you do next is you need to enter this virtual environment at this ML40. So you need to type activate ML40. So you're actually now inside ML40 virtual environment. You will see that there's like a prefix there. So you go to the, so once you're inside, you can go to the repository which we just cloned. So if I type Python analysis.py here, it will give me an error saying that there is no util files. So what we need to do is we need to add like a environment variable. So for that, an environment variable which points to this ML4017 file, which has util.py as well as grading scripts. So you go to advanced settings. So once you click that, you will find this dialog box. Go to environment variables. Here you type new inside user variables, and then you can type Python path as the variable name.
Is this for your shell or is this for Anaconda or what?
This one is for Anaconda.
Okay, so you're just setting it for Anaconda.
Yes,
Okay.
it's like all the entire Windows can see that.
Okay.
So this is my path which I need to copy into the environment variable. So Python path will point to this. So this path will actually have your util.py as well as grading folder. So once you're done with that, you can click OK. OK again. So we need to just refresh this Anaconda prompt. So I'll just close it, open it again. Activate ML40. Go to the desktop, going to the repo, assess portfolio. So yeah, you can see that it's running now. It's giving you like the default values. For running the grading script, like I said, it won't work here because of like Linux dependencies. You can still develop your code, but if you want to like check whether it's like passing all the test cases, you will need to like push it onto the buffer and see if it's like passing. So this is the first method. I would suggest you do this only as like last resort. Ideally, what I would suggest is go for the VirtualBox option. You can you can download VirtualBox from Oracle website and open it up. So
let's pause for a second. So what he just showed you is one method of install on Windows using Anaconda. He's going to show you another method now where you're actually installing a virtual Linux environment, right? So he's going to show you how to install that. Once you turn it on, now you're in Unix. So all your usual Windows stuff is different. It just happens to be running within your Windows environment, but it's Unix. So he's going to show you how to set up a virtual Unix box on your Windows machine.
So initially we need to download Ubuntu 16.04.3. So this is the Ubuntu version which is running on the buffet machines. So you can download either 64 or 32-bit version. And once you download that, also please download the VirtualBox from this link. So once you have the VirtualBox as well as the image, what you do is you go to New, you type in some name. I'm just going to call it version 4 because I already have like a few versions before that. So it's Linux, Ubuntu 64-bit for my machine. For you, it will be
regarding 64-bit. How should you decide whether to use 32 or 64?
Based on the laptop.
So just what the laptop is. Okay. Sure.
So okay, what does it say? Is it because your laptop is 32-bit? Let's check that after the class.
And another thing that on Windows 10, we use there is something called as batch on Ubuntu on Windows. So
okay.
There is a subsystem that Windows provides, which you can run Ubuntu.
Okay.
So can we use that instead of Ubuntu?
You could try that, but just make sure that all your library versions are matching with the one on buffer. Sure. So the memory size is like how much virtual RAM would you want to give to your VirtualBox? Ideally, I would give it as much as possible. Maybe like half of your physical RAM. This is create virtual hard disk now. All these are default options. VDI, dynamically allocated or fixed size. I would again go with the default option. So this is like the storage space. Yeah. 4 GB. That's because my machine has 8 GB RAM. Anything is fine, like you know, right? Your laptop's specifications. Oh yeah, sorry. Just in case if you miss anything, everything is there in the PDF. Just in case, we can also go over it again. So this will be the hard disk size of your virtual machine. That's like I've given it 10 GB. I think that should be sufficient. You create it, and what you do next is you go to settings, click this, go to settings. So then go to storage. So here you need to load the ISO into this option. You click on the circular disk here with the plus sign, and then choose the disk. Here you choose the ISO which you would have downloaded from Ubuntu's website. Okay, so you will see that it's been selected here. After that, click OK. So all you do next is just press start. So that will start up your virtual machine which is running Ubuntu 16. So when it starts, it's going to ask whether you want to try Ubuntu or you want to install Ubuntu. So ideally, what you should be doing is installing Ubuntu and completing all the steps which is listed here. Select install Ubuntu and continue up till it finishes the installation. But what I'm going to do now, because we don't have much time to install Ubuntu, I'm just going to try Ubuntu. But that's not what you should be doing. You should be installing Ubuntu.
Maybe you have one that's already installed. Or, well,
I do have it, but
no, that's fine. That's fine.
it's already all the stuff is installed inside.
So the point he's going to be at now is, boom, he's got a Unix environment, and then all those things that Brian showed about cloning the Git repository, installing the Python software, and so on. Well, you don't have to do it in this. Well, you do have to install the Python software. Okay. On Buffett, you don't have to. Here, you are going to have to clone the repository and install the Python libraries. Go ahead.
So this is like a demo version of Ubuntu, as in like it's just running for this instance. If you switch off your virtual machine, if you let's say close it now, and when you load it, you'll lose all your changes which you have made. So you need to install Ubuntu, not try the other version. So you go here, this is called a dash. Click on software and updates. So in this option, please click the second one, check that one and close it. It's going to just download a few more package lists. Also, if you go to the dash and type terminal, this is where you'll be doing most of the setting up of the software. So ideally, you would want to have like an internet connection. You can check it with pinging Google. If you see some packets being sent and received, that should be fine. You have the internet working. So this Ubuntu version already comes with the correct version of Python which we need. That's 2.7.112. That's the one which is running on Buffet as well. Okay, so let me update all the package repositories with this command, sudo apt-get update. So this will take like a short while. Once that's ready, what you need to do is you need to install pip. Pip is the one which will be installing all your library versions for this course. Let it finish, and let me also open the Google Docs.
What are you doing here?
I need to copy some stuff. So pip is installed, it's finished that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy these bunch of lines from the document and just paste it into the terminal. So it's going to start installing all the library packages according to what's there on the buffet. Should take a short while. Can you try with sudo? Okay.
Okay, so we officially are at the end of the class period, so I understand people may need to leave. Whoops, sorry about that. Let's handle questions in a couple ways. First, oh, and by the way, this is videotaped, so you can see it online also. Any questions, big picture about what you should be doing regarding setting up your software? So big picture is get some kind of local environment set up, whether you're on Windows or Mac OS or Linux, whatever you like, but be sure that you have the Git repo checked out and that you have the proper versions of the Python libraries installed. Again, all those libraries are installed already on the Buffett machines, but if in this case, if you're using a local Linux environment, you still have to do those installs. If you're using your Windows environment, you have to install as well. Overall, we recommend using a Linux environment because you're going to have the most similarity. Well, in this case, identical OS between Buffett and your development environment. Okay, develop on your local machine, SSH and SFTP your code to Buffett to test it. You're going to have to check out the repo on Buffett in your account as well, so that you have the test scripts there. Okay, so we had a question. Who had their hand up? Okay, how about we do this? Nitin, sorry, will continue to address Windows questions up here. Brian over there will handle Mac OS questions, and they may be talking loud over each other, so it may get noisy, but it's okay. So Brian, you can talk normal voice. All right, and that's it. Come on up and ask questions to Nitin or Brian.
Will that make it too slow to run on the Buffett machine? If you have like every package installed, like when I'm running my program,
But in Buffet, you cannot allow to install. You cannot install that.
oh, okay. I installed my virtual environment. No, not in Buffett. Sorry. Just like I created the virtual environment.
Yeah, that should be fine.
Because he told me to actually
It's working.
I haven't finished it because
No, you can also do one thing. You can use putty.
Okay.
So right now I don't have access to the software machine, but if you can type in, I can show it. Can you? Do you want to?
I have no clue. That's the reason I was like, is it like the
What-
similar
what's
way we showed on Mac? Is it the same thing that you do over here as well?
So there's no terminal for that. And you can use putty. So if you do you have your username?
Yeah. Let's finish.
Okay.
KILLKRLLAMPI.
You type this into putty. Okay. This thing at buffet zero whatever is your server. Click open. It's going to ask for your password here. So you want to write
The password would be
your passport
static password, right?
on display. So it says wherever you are. Repository name is MM14. You need to make copies and put it into this. So you can use what's called SCP. So SCP is like SSH, but instead of logging in, you can copy it into the one. You can post the question on Reddit and we'll answer it.
Yeah, I think I'm logging. So
Yeah, so this is the buffet actually. You can do your get clone and stuff like that. And here's where you need to run things differently.
So the code that you're talking about, SCP, I have to go into this machine, right?
Like you have your code which you have developed on the local version. You need to put it into this and then run it. That's great.
And
Then folder of this that.
so the SCP is spawned from the Windows or like any virtual box? It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Anyway.
There are some courses in business school. Strength and numerical analysis. Let's get background for one of you.
Something
Your science, strong science, strong finance.
did you change any settings? You can just like Google it and if it doesn't work,
That one doesn't have required.
Oh, it's copy paste.
Should I do sudo install all these?
Yes. If your issue is with content,
Directory and cache.
I just don't, I don't use it.
Can I ask you a different answer?
Yes, do it soon.
Do you have any?
I think there's only one piece.
We're doing yeah, there's like a
Mac?
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't need that. You can just follow the previous.
Yeah, like I was.
And then also, we have to install Anaconda and also.
Yeah, for sure. And
I would suggest go for the virtual one. You don't need Anaconda.
You can't like, Alex is also a TA. I'm not sure what's going on.
I'm not.
The remedy code on that is your grade scripts and whatnot. So I do. If you have some environment already working, you can run it, so just make sure that you're submitting just see if the same code works on those. So I haven't done that. So I just let's say you want to log into Puppet, you do SSH, but if you want to like copy, let's say yeah, you can do SSH. So thanks for the video. And I had configured that.
Yeah, so just send an email. Yeah, and
So one first question is, can I use the state of the machine? If you're working on it,
use it.
it's only one time during the customer's machine.
But will you run on
Yeah,
the?
this one. Yeah, just
The buffer is meant.
Oh, okay.
You have to test
Like, I'm
the
actually this.
so if we are able to access it, we have to access and secondly,
So
we can use it right now. So this is the link on which we are reading it. And I just talked about it.
Yeah, and just tell you.
So, and this is the version of VirtualBox that you want, right? 5.1.
Yeah,
When I run it, so the problem that I'm facing is that the Ubuntu version, just that which I have to set, it only shows the 32.
So it's gonna be a lot.
Doesn't show the 64 bit as it is there.
Can you show me the image which you
So like actually, I have the virtual environment.
Image of